What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Nick Theriot, and today I have a very special guest for you guys. This is a introverted, almost nerdy guy in a way that went from introvert to a sales professional and then literally leaving the company, going back down to zero, and then building $100 million e-commerce empire, throwing manufacturing and fulfillment. Guys, this is one you will not want to miss. And with that being said, let's get started. Well, Josh, glad to have you here, man.
Absolutely.
Coming in from what, Hollywood Hills?
Louisiana to Hollywood Hills.
Louisiana, Hollywood Hills.
Yep.
I know, obviously, most people don't even really know where I'm from, but you're from Lafayette, Louisiana.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit, just like really quick introduction of you. Who are you? Who is Josh Goree?
So I've kind of done just about, I guess, everything. I was went to college, did the whole. I grew up in a very small town. Parents say go to college, make good grades, the whole nine. And I was an introvert. Didn't really have very many friends in high school. Had a lot of people that I was around, but got to college, studied engineering, which made me more of an introvert. Mm-hmm. And a friend of mine on the track team got me introduced to this multi-level marketing company, and I was doing fairly well with it as a college student, making $500, $1,000 a month here and there. And he had built this business up. He was doing all the talking. He was the extrovert of the business. But he got accepted into dental school, so he had to go and do that. And so I was at a point where I was like, either I'm going to have to learn how to talk to people, or I'm just going to give up this opportunity to make more money. And so I went to Dallas with a friend of mine, gave literally thousands of presentations to the point where I overcame that fear of.
Was that Justin?
It was Justin. Yeah, it was Justin. Justin was the guy that went to dental school. So my friend Anthony was the guy that I went to Dallas with. Okay. And literally slept on couches doing 10, 15, 20 presentations every day. And most of them were just like one-on-ones like you and I are having. And for the life of me, having a conversation with a person that I didn't know, I couldn't do it. And there's plenty of people out there that are introverts, plenty of very, very smart people that just cannot communicate how they feel and what they're trying to sell or what they're trying to convey. And that was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. It was tough. But
I know we were talking earlier about like adversity and stuff like
that.
Was that like your first?
That was not my first point of adversity. I had plenty of adversity, pretty much my entire life, but this was the most adverse thing I had ever done.
For like your entrepreneurship career in a way.
No, it changed the direction of my life completely. I would have never been able to build the companies that I do. I understand people now. I can watch someone. I can see how I pick up on the smallest little social cues because I've done it so many times. I've been in front of people. And so you take that guy that couldn't talk to one person, and a year later, speaking in front of 20, 50,000 people on stage, I would have never imagined me doing that. And got to the point where you're hopping up on stage and not one thought about being nervous or
wanted to run off just that.
Yeah, you just got up there and just let's go. And so did that, built a really big multi-level marketing business, and I got to the point where I knew that it was almost like college. I've learned enough. I know what I need to do now, or at least I know that this is not what I want to do for the remainder of my life. I need to take the next step. And so,
and to be clear here, you're making good money right now.
So no, I'm crushing it. I'm crushing it. Yeah. And so as soon as I decided that I wanted to do something different, I basically got booted out of the company. And I was stupid. I mean, I'm 21, 22 years old at the time. I'm going out every night, picking up entire bars, tabs. I don't even drink. I didn't even drink at this point. Yeah. And obviously I do now. But didn't even drink at this point. I'm going out every single night, just buying clothes. I had 7 cars, just stupid. I'm every 21, 22-year-old's dream at this point.
that when you bought the Corvette?
Yeah, that's when I bought my first Corvette. I had a Jeep, Corvette, BMW, motorcycle. I mean, I had all kinds of stuff. So going from making basically from, I mean, my parent, I grew up in the middle of nowhere. My parents got internet for the first time like a year ago. So going from someone that didn't really grow up around anybody that had money to now I'm making, a lot of money compared to everyone else I'd grown up with. And then all of a sudden having that taken away without investing or diversifying in any sort of way. The best things I did was I bought a Jimmy John's and I bought a hair salon, which kind of kept me afloat for a little while. And the only thing I thought was I would sit at my Jimmy John's every day and I would watch people come through the door. And the one thought that constantly like drove me crazy was there's only a certain amount of people that can walk through that door. Even if we wanted to sell 1 million sandwiches today, you can't have 1 million people walk through that door.
I resonate with that so much because like when I owned my detailing business before what I do now.
I remember that.
I could only do 2 ceramic coatings a week.
You are exactly right.
And it would blow my mind because I'm like, if I could just do like 100 in a week, I'd be making like $100,000 a week. But I'm like, I can't because I literally don't have the shop space.
Yep.
But then there's like not everyone in Lafayette. Like I just don't have enough room. So
but not only do you not have the shop space, but then like, do I have the people? Do I have the infrastructure? If I train the people to do this, what's stopping them from going out and doing it on their own? Yeah. And so it's exactly how I thought about like people coming in. And so all I could think about was I want to learn e-commerce. I want to learn how to sell things online. And I think I'm pretty sure the first thing I ever did was I drop shipped leather jackets. And I never bought any courses, didn't really watch any YouTube videos either. I just like straight just balls to the wall, do whatever I can to try to get sales. And I tried all kind of stuff. Like I'd create like 10, 15, 20 fake Facebook accounts, go like all these ads from all these leather jacket companies. So I'm getting constantly served leather jacket ads, and then I would just post my domain in their ads. This is before.
This is an interesting thing too, because you told me this before, and like I've never seen anyone ever talk about this before.
But I think now Facebook's kind of, I think you can like basically stop people from doing that.
No, you can still do it. There's nothing that's stopping you.
When I tell you I was getting I wasn't getting a whole lot of sales, getting a shit ton of traffic, not a whole lot of sales. But it was basically my first understanding of I didn't have any money to spend on ads. Yeah. So I was like, how can I get free traffic to my site? And so that was kind of how I started out. Then I was selling things on eBay. And then sold things on Etsy for a while, got kicked off of Etsy. And each time I went to selling something different. I went from leather jackets to like fishing bait to bikinis. Bikinis was my first taste of something good.
I've sold bikinis too at one point.
Yeah. And so my girlfriend at the time, I'd send her to like Victoria's Secret, hey, pick out some bikinis. And so she'd go buy them, she'd come back. I'd either send them off to China and have them copied and sent back to me. You're talking about a $60 bikini that I could have made for $2 or $3. And then I actually bought a sewing machine and serger and started making the bikinis myself. I went to sewing machine classes, serging, like I learned how to do all this stuff myself.
So even though you're making like really good money now from all your investments and stuff like that, and you could have easily hired someone else to like do this for you, you still went through it and like taught yourself everything for like the sewing part.
At this point, I was not making good money. I got kicked out of Limu. I had the Jimmy John's that was kind of paying my bills. I was getting by, but I wasn't going anywhere. Yeah. So yes, I could have paid somebody to go and do it, but for me it was more like I want to learn the insides and out of this so that I can train somebody else how to do it. And so did that for a while, and I was constantly trying to find a product and then go and try to put it in front of people. And listen to this one, it was amazing how many times I've listened to these 1.5 hour long, 2 hour long podcasts, YouTube videos. and you get one little piece that changes everything. And this guy said, everyone gets a product and they try to go sell it to an audience. He was like, it's the wrong way to do it. Find an audience that's looking to buy a product and put the product in front of them. And so look for an audience first. And so that changed the way that I kind of was going about starting these new businesses. And I had two things in mind. Babies, the baby market. I was like, people will spend a bunch of money on their newborn kids, or weddings. And I felt like weddings was probably the answer, because people spend ridiculous amounts of money that's not even their own money. It's their parents, it's somebody's parents' money. They're buying groomsmen gifts, they're buying invitations. They're not buying just one item. They're buying hundreds of items, all these other items. And so I wanted to get in that market. I bought a little laser engraver, got it in, started selling groomsmen gifts. And that was the start of Completeful, the very beginning. And
Completeful is which say is like your main company you own now.
Yeah, Completeful is the main company I own now. And started that. It was just basically selling on Etsy, very beginning. I ran Facebook ads. Every time I seemed to hit a home run with a good ad, I'd run out of inventory. We talked about this before. And so I was doing everything. Like I'm the one actually using the laser. I'm the one packaging it up. I'm the one running the ads. I'm doing it all. And so after that, I got to the point where I'd kind of scaled to a point where, okay, I'm doing enough in the wedding business. I need to venture out into all these other markets, anniversary gifts, babies, all these other. But I was stretched so thin that I can't do this. I can't do this by myself.
Yeah.
And so the same thing that we were talking about with the detailing and auto business was, if I train somebody how to do this, they're just going to go do it for themselves. So how do I build a system that's mutually beneficial? And so that's when I decided I'm going to get into fulfillment, and everything that I've learned, I'm going to teach other people. But I'm going to take care of all the back end, the warehousing, the fulfillment, the machines that you have to buy to make some of these items. And
so that's an interesting thing right there, because you had the opportunity of, hey, I can just be the next super large brand, or I can become the person that's actually doing all the fulfillment. Like a lot of people watching the channel and watching this video right now, they know what AliExpress is, Alibaba, and stuff like that. In a way, you're becoming another AliExpress for
that was the goal. It was like
like a next level higher, because you're actually doing the manufacturing.
Yeah, because it's like all the problems that you experience from dealing with AliExpress and all the and originally, like it was great, right? You could drop ship everything. Then Shopify kind of cracked down on using a lot of that. And so I was like, how can I become the AliExpress in the United States, where I'm making the products, I'm fulfilling the orders, and I'm helping people, and I'm bringing something to the table that I wanted whenever I got started, selling online. And so every single day, that's my thought process. If a person today watches a YouTube video that says, I want to start an e-commerce store, I want to be the person, the company that is able to take them from nothing to something, and then hand them off to you.
Yeah. You said a lot of good stuff there. And I'm going to circle back to a couple different things. There's a lot of key things you said that we're going to kind of go through. First thing, the whole introvert to like sales rep, everything, like crushing in that space right there. What was it? Like this was just like one of the first things you had to overcome in your entrepreneurship career. And I know you said it's one of the hardest things you had to do. What drove you when you felt like all this shit's going on, like this is really hard to do, like basically I'm being a bitch right now, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Like, how did you push yourself and like, hey, like I don't care what you guys say, just do it? Like, how was that for you? Like, what drove you to push past this,
it was a little bit of what
fear?
you just said about the stop being a little bitch and just go do it. But also, like, I like to look at the people that have built companies that I want to build a company like, right? Take Steve Jobs, for example, right? Man was an amazing motivator, was an amazing speaker. He was able to motivate pretty much everybody in his entire company. Built Apple, couldn't write a single line of code. Didn't know programming at all. And so I knew if I ever wanted to be that person, I was going to have to learn those things. And I was going to have to do it eventually. And so it was pretty much like, I'm going to have to buckle down and get this done. And I never thought that I would be as good at it as I ended up being. Because I still to this day don't feel like I'm that good at it. Because for me, it feels like I'm awkward on stage. It feels like it almost feels like it's robotic to me because I'm constantly having to rehearse in my mind before it comes out, like what's being said and done. And I just went out and watched people that I saw doing it, and I said, if that person can do it, I can do it. Maybe not as good as them, but to some degree, I'll be able to get there. And I had this guy who's a friend of mine that I went and did a presentation for. And normally, like I said, I'm talking to one person, two people at a time. And this was my first big presentation. He had 7 or 8 people there.
Okay.
And so I give this presentation, and he comes to me after. He said, "Hey man," he's like, "I've listened to everybody in the company give these presentations." He was like, "That was the best one I've ever heard." And for me, the whole time, all I could think of was, I ruined that. I left this part out. I didn't say this. I was just critiquing myself the whole time while I was giving the presentation and after. And I realized I was like, it doesn't really matter if I don't say everything that I wanted to say, but if I say it in a way that connects with people, then nothing else really matters about, all the things that I left out.
Yeah.
And so that's when I realized I was just like, if I'm passionate about what I'm saying and doing, just that passion alone people connect with, not necessarily what I'm saying and in the context of what how I'm saying it. And so that's when I realized I was like, I'm just going to get up. I'm just going to be me. And so from that point forward, I made leaps and bounds. I wasn't nervous anymore. I was just like, I may leave out 2 or 3 really important phrases, but the message is conveyed. And so that's what I learned from doing that. And still to this day, I still give speeches. I have times where I'm at for our company dinners and stuff, and I get up there and there's things I want to say, and I leave out 2 or 3 of them. But at the end of it, people come up and like, "Man, that was great,"
You'll have this whole speech plan, and then it's time for you to speak, and you see the complete opposite.
No, I go off on a tangent.
But everyone's like, "That's amazing."
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I find that that's something I learned because over the last 2 years, that's something that I personally focused on a lot. Was that I wouldn't really say I'm an introvert, but I've never been a person that's likes to talk to strangers. I 2 years ago, I could not talk to a stranger to save my life.
Yeah.
But over the last 2 years, that's a skill that I've been slowly working on every day.
Yep.
And what I found, and I don't know if you ever taken any Myers-Briggs tests and stuff like that, but there's one particular one called the mechanic archetype. I don't know if you ever heard of that one before, but the mechanic is a systems type of person. And you remind me of me in terms of the systems aspect of how you do everything.
Yes.
You're a wizard when it comes down to that part. So for me, I had to almost develop a system for how to talk to strangers in a way.
Yeah.
And that immediately took me from introvert to extrovert. It gave me that sense of confidence because in a way I was passionate about either A, what I was talking about, or B, I had confidence in that particular system to work.
Yeah.
So I understand what you mean about having that passion and stuff of just trusting yourself.
Yeah, no, that's at the end of the day, when people say, they talk about being humble, the ultimate confidence to me comes off as someone being humble. Because if I know deep down who I am and I'm extremely confident, I don't have to say anything. I don't have to. You're going to realize, and so that's it's it's a really good Walter Payton quote when he says, "When you're good at something, you'll tell everybody, but when you're great at something, they'll tell you." And so that's when the ultimate confidence is being humble, and at least it comes off as being humble. And so, like, I'm probably the most arrogant, confident person you'll ever meet. But most people are like, "Oh, you're so humble," and I'm like, "You don't know what's going on up here." Like, because I know at the end of the day, like, you put me up against someone, I'm like, I will do whatever it takes to to win. And that's a hard I guess point in life to get to whenever but you have to, like you said, you have to struggle. You have to have gone through enough things where you realize it's like, it doesn't matter what comes my way. It doesn't matter what curveball's thrown at me. Like, I will figure out a way to, to get around it.
You gain confidence in a way of your ability to handle when curveballs are thrown at you.
Yeah, you don't gain confidence by, like, sitting in the front of the mirror, like, saying, today we're going to do something great. No, you gain confidence by constantly overcoming struggles. And so, like, before, like, if you had met me 10 years ago, before I started getting out and speaking to people, I wasn't confident because I knew that, like, I don't have the ability to go and influence somebody and talk to someone and sell somebody on something that I'm passionate about. But I know that now that I can. And so that builds that confidence, constantly overcoming struggles. And someone that never had to struggle, it's like, they've done a study on this. Every single child prodigy has never amounted to much later on in life because they never had to learn from their failures. All they did was learn how to be really good at what everyone else had already done.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and so I've learned, like, I'm like, I don't think I've ever really excelled at anything. I've just been maybe above average or average at most things, and then had to fight and claw every single way to get to that next level.
Yeah, that's one thing, like, I've looked at. It's like, there's another, like, quote of, like, you don't truly fail at something unless you give up.
Yep.
And it's like, you can have a whole bunch of little failures, quote unquote, but it's like what you do with that failure determines whether you proceed further, be successful, or you actually just go back to being, the random person you are.
I remember for everyone, that's watching that, has started a business or thinking about starting a business. And I mean, every single day I have people reach out and say, I want to start this business, or I have this idea, or I want to do this. And, like, I thought the first 20 businesses I started were failures. But they weren't failures. There were things that I had learned from. There were stepping stones to build the person and the company that I have now. And so, like, I wish everyone would just start. Just get started. Like, fail 1,000,000 times until you're so good and you've learned so much. I watched, I think it was today, it was actually a Mr. Beast video, and he was like, there was like 5 of us, and we just learned every possible way to fail. And he was like, but there were 5 of us, so in a year span, we basically gained 5 years of knowledge because all day, every single day, all 5 of us were doing the same thing.
That's good.
Yeah, it was really good. And so, like, I can't tell you how many times people that work for me come to me with a problem, and I have a solution for it like that. And they're like, dude, you're a wizard, you're a genius. Like, and I'm like, no, I'm not actually. I was like, I've just been in every possible scenario. I've failed so many times that I have a solution for this. I know what not to do. And so I wish everyone would take that leap.
I think that's something that I truly started to embrace over the last year when I started teaching students.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I never really took value in those mini failures besides, like, okay, gosh, we figured out how to solve that. We don't have to deal with that again.
Yeah.
But then now that I have students, it's like, I look at it from a whole different perspective. Like, damn, that's really great that the 2022 Nick went through that, because now I can help someone save a couple years off their life for not making the same mistake as me.
I think about that so much in my business because there are times where things come up and I know exactly what to do. But I only know exactly what to do because I made the complete opposite mistake years before. And so all the times where I thought that was a failure and I felt like a failure now feels like that just molded me into the person I am today. And we talked about this earlier about constantly, like, how many, you probably have a lot of young guys. How many people want to work and make money so that they don't have to do anything anymore? Only to realize that's not the goal. You want to work and make money and be able to do the thing that you love to do, not do anything.
I think that's, yeah, like, that was something that I know, like, for me, I had, when I was little, younger, it was just like, I want to become a famous YouTuber so I can play Call of Duty all day and make, like, Call of Duty videos.
Yep.
And it's like, at the time, I wasn't putting two and two together. It's still work in that sense right there. I'm just doing something I love.
Yeah.
And now I do that now with, like, marketing and advertising and stuff. But it's like, I couldn't imagine just having a lot of money and, like, yeah, you can go travel. You can go buy a Lambo and stuff like that. But, like, you'd be depressed after a month of living that lifestyle.
It does not. And I've done that. Like I've tried that lifestyle. Go out and be like, okay, I can buy anything I want. I can have any car, any girl, any watch, any house, anywhere in the world. Do whatever you want to do, and that's cool for a couple of days. But then it's just like, what now? And that's hard to to tell someone and for them to really understand until they've experienced that. But because I was the same way. It's just like, I want to work so hard, make all this money so I don't have to do anything. And now I do more than I did whenever I was younger.
It's one of those, yeah, you have to experience it for yourself. It's
Yep.
kind of like, like when you're broke, for example, and there's a rich person telling you, hey, money's not, the happiness, etc., something like that. It's like, who are you to tell me that?
Yeah, it's easy for you to say that because you've got all the money. Yeah.
I'm like, there's a lot of lessons that people told me. Hey, Nick, you should think about this, and then I'm a person that I have to experience it for myself. I'm like, okay, I 100% agree with you now.
I have gotten in the past, especially in the past year, I've gotten really good at taking advice from people like that. Even though I don't agree with what they're saying, I know they've been around long enough. They've been around longer than me. So I try to put myself in their shoes and say, maybe they're telling me something that is actually valuable that I can learn from, that I don't have to experience it. I can just skip to the next step. Yeah. And so I remember there was a video podcast I was listening to, and it was like the real test of intelligence is how quickly you can learn and change your actions. So like right now, if I told you, if you touch that glass of whiskey, I'm going to slap you. Or if I told Zach if he was going to touch his glass of whiskey, I was going to slap him. And he touches that glass of whiskey and I slap him. And he's like, and he goes and touches again, I slap him again. You learn from that and you're like, well, I'm just not going to touch that glass of whiskey. Yeah. Like that immediately makes you intelligent. But someone that keeps doing the same thing and it takes them, how many times is it going to take you to learn this lesson? And so for me, I feel like that is the true test of intelligence. Like, can you see somebody make a mistake and not make the same mistake? Or do you have to make the mistake? And how many times do you have to make the mistake before you learn from it?
Is there any mistakes in your life right now that you tend to see happen over and over that you haven't learned a lesson?
I am usually very, very good about not making the same mistake twice. I try to take my ego out of that, and probably the only thing that I would probably speak from that I would say that I can't give advice on would be relationships. And I don't know. There's only a very select few people in my entire life that I would probably take advice from on relationships. But like for me, like I know what makes women tick and how to seduce them, if you will, but I don't know how to get to that next step.
So back to the C7.
C7. So my cousin and I both bought C7s at the same time, and I remember we were at Best Buy one day, and he like drove in front of the place and like revved his engine up, like rolled his windows down, music blaring, revved his engine up, and I was like, how insecure do you have to be to do something like that? But it made me realize, I was like, why do I have a Corvette? And I was like, I'm just trying to impress people. I didn't buy that Corvette for me. I bought it because I want people to see me in that car and be like, oh, look at Josh has.
Now, were you like big into cars? Like, would you call yourself a car guy? Or
Not-
is it
not-
purely just because, oh, look, Corvette, it impresses people, I'm gonna get it?
Yeah, pretty much what it was. I wouldn't really call myself a car guy. I like cars. I love cars. I mean, we've been in Lambos.
Yeah.
I love cars. I don't really know much about them. Every single time someone asks me about my McLaren, I have to ask like a friend of mine that has all the information. Like, what's the 0 to 60? Like, what does it do? And like all the questions that people ask. And so I decided then I was like, I'm getting rid of my car. I'm going to get rid of everything that I feel like I'm doing to try to impress people.
And this was at Holland again?
I'm around 23, 24 at the time, probably.
That's tough at that age, too.
Yeah, I know it is.
That's the age where it's
like, you were the fucking man at that age, right? You've got all the confidence in the world. You can't die. That was a hard pill to swallow. And so I said, you know what? I'm gonna buy something that I'm embarrassed to drive. Mm-hmm. And so I bought a little Chevy Cruze, and I drove that around. And everybody in my life thought that things weren't going good for me. Mm. They thought business was not going good. They thought like, oh, Josh is about to lose it all, and it was better than it ever had been.
Yeah. And this was after
This is after losing all my Limu income. This is after all the multi-level marketing stuff. Mm. This is after struggling. This is at the beginning of Completeful, where I'm killing it. I'm doing really well. I'm making the most money I ever have. I mean, I'm back at making 7 figures a year, or netting 7 figures a year, and I'm driving a Chevy Cruze around. And it was probably one of the most freeing things. And not at first. It sucks at first, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot cooler to drive up to a place when you got a sweet car versus driving up a Chevy Cruze. But you get over that, and then you start making decisions based on what's going to be better for the company, what's going to be better for me, not what's trying to impress people, not any of that. And it takes the ego out of the equation, and that's whenever I decided that I would I wouldn't take a paycheck from Completeful. I was going to separate myself from the company. My personal lifestyle will be paid for things outside of Completeful. I'll let Completeful grow. Every single dollar that it makes, I will reinvest back into the company. And that was probably the best decision I ever made. And it has allowed the company to grow and prosper as much as it has. And so then you jump. Year after that, I've gotten to a 10,000 square foot warehouse. Thought that was I thought that was it. I was like, I've made it. 10,000 square foot warehouse.
Is that the one
on row 3?
Row 3. I remember that one.
Yeah. So I'm like, I made it. And then 2-3 months later, I needed more space. I got the warehouse across the street, which is also about 10,000 square feet. Then I needed more space. So then I bought the old Nabisco building. That was 40,000.
That thing was huge.
That thing was huge. 40,000 square feet. And then I was like, I'm never going to need any more space in this. Within 6 months, we had filled it up. I needed more space. And as a joke, I mentioned to my realtor that I wanted to buy the Walmart building. Mm-hmm. And you're talking the second largest Walmart in the world, 240,000 square feet. And at this point, we're getting to the point where we've almost filled it up. But this has been, I knew it was going to take a while. This didn't happen in 6 months. I bought that, I think it's been 3 years now? I think so. I think it's been 3 years.
So it was around COVID, right? Or just after COVID?
Just after COVID. So I believe 2021 is when I purchased that building, and then in June, around June, so a couple months from now, it'll be the 3-year mark. Yeah.
And just to put things in perspective, guys, and that are watching right now, this is a whole Walmart building, and not just any Walmart that you typically go to. This is the second largest one in the country or the world?
The world.
The world.
Yeah, the world. And so most Walmarts that you go in, the average is about 120 to 150,000 square feet. Mm-hmm. And that's what the average is. And so you're talking about one that's almost twice the size of a normal Walmart. And so it's huge. And it had all the power, all the space, all the parking you can imagine. And so it's allowed us to be able to scale up to a level that I didn't ever really see possible. But with that being said, there's been plenty of times where things have popped up businesses have popped up, companies that have popped up that I wanted to buy or be a part of or like partner with, where it was such a gamble to go into business with them that I was like, why? And at the end of the day, it comes down to everybody wants to get rich fast. And if you can get out of that mindset, yeah, you can be young and have a lot of money. But if your main goal is next year I want to be a multimillionaire and right now I don't have shit, I don't know shit, like you can't do that. You got to build that base first. And we talked about this earlier about I want to be the best. I don't want to be first. I want to be the best, and then later I'll be first. And so, what good is it to scale a business up where, let's say you go from $10 million a year to $100 million a year revenue, but someone else has a better process, someone else has a better system, someone else has a better product, and maybe they're doing $5 million a year, $10 million a year. In the long run, who's going to win that battle?
Reminds me of the BlackBerry movie. If you haven't watched that yet,
I haven't watched it.
Phenomenal movie, highly recommend it. But like BlackBerry was leading the whole market.
BlackBerry, yeah, I did watch that. I love that.
Leading the whole market.
Yeah.
And then iPhone comes out and they're like, oh, that's a little $5 million company. We're a $100 million company.
Yep.
And iPhone wipes them out the market.
Because they went customer first, and they said, we're going to be the best, and then we'll be first. And they did. And that's exactly why I try to focus on processes, systems first, and build the best possible system first. And then we can work on sales. Like, if we have enough sales to cover everything that we need to cover the growth that we're, normal growth that we're experiencing, let's focus the majority of our time on building the best possible company and people first, and then scale it up. Because if you have a broken system and a broken process and a broken team, it doesn't matter if you're doing $1 billion a year. You try to double that to $2 billion a year, you're just scaling up a broken system. And eventually, you're going to fall apart like BlackBerry did.
Yeah. Now, how's Completeful doing now? So you get into this building, Walmart, and after, the Lemu, going into some Jimmy John's, investing and everything, start off in one building doing laser engraving and, the groomsmen gifts, etc.
Yep.
Then you start off like your own manufacturing. You start bringing on people that basically sell for you, in that sense right there. And then now, over the last couple of years, what are some of the products you've expanded into? Like, how do you actually provide value to the marketplace, I guess you could say, with your business?
At this point,
drop shipping and everything.
At this point, I pretty much tell anybody we can make anything. And we can. It doesn't matter what it is. We can do DTG, embroidery, manufacturing. We do doll kennels. We've made robots. We've made drones, oil-filled company parts, laser engraving, UV printing, sublimation, and our entire business is based on building, like we talked about, systems. We're just a big team of engineers. It's nothing is perfect. We don't stop improving anything. It doesn't matter what it is. Even if we know nobody in the world is going to beat us at this, we still try to make it better every single day. And at this point, anybody that wants to start out drop shipping, and I know this because I've done it. And so all these companies, you got Printful and Printify. I don't all the tools and stuff that they build. I feel like it's because they don't know what it's like being on the sales side. And so I have an intimate relationship with selling on Etsy, selling on Shopify. I know what people want. I know what they need. And so that's constantly where I'm trying to build and gear our team towards, is saying, let's build the tools where when someone gets started, they can get started with nothing. They don't have to invest any money up front, and we can show them how to build a really good system, on Etsy or Amazon or eBay or any of these other marketplaces. And then once they've made enough money, then hey, let's start running some ads. Let's teach you how to do Shopify. Let me introduce you to my boy Nick. And so that for me, and that's I want people to have what I wanted whenever I got started. And so every single day, it's like we can do any product. I want you to come to me with ideas, and if we can't, I want to be able to tell you this is where you need to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so now it's like we have a big network of people that even if it's a product that we don't do, I can point you in the right direction because I want to help people, succeed. I want to help them, make that money because eventually, somehow, we'll probably end up working together.
Yeah.
Even if it's just doing the 3PL and doing the fulfillment side. Like, I love that. That's the easiest part of our business. You just go grab something, put it in a package, and slap a label on it. That's easy, and we have the best rates for doing that.
So who do you say is like I guess you could say like, do you like to work with people that are already established in the e-com space, or are you looking for more people that are like, because you also said like, here, I want to make this as easy as possible for anyone just to get started selling.
Yeah.
So are you looking for almost people that are like brand new and just like, oof, I want to crush it like Josh in a way?
Yeah. So I guess there's two sides of that. Like, one, I want to help those people that are just getting started, right? I want to give them all the knowledge they possibly can. I want to basically let them have that taste of success early on so that it gives them the motivation to learn and do more. Do I want to be involved in that process? Not really. I'm trying to automate that as much as possible so that I'm not spending my time trying to teach someone to go from $0 a year to $1,000 a year. I'd rather personally work with someone that's already established so that I can say, hey, here's how we can, help you. But the ultimate goal is to take someone that does know nothing and bring them to a point where they've learned it all. Just like Justin. I mean, he started, it's been 5 years now. He didn't know what a domain name was. And I mean, he does $20-30 million a year in sales on pretty much Etsy alone. Etsy, he's got a little bit on Amazon. He's got the metal address signs with you, but that store doesn't hardly do much at all. But like just on Etsy and Amazon, and that like his story is what I want. And everybody could do it. Yeah. I've showed him something, and he's just every single day creating listings, and that's kind of what he's mastered. I wish he would step out and venture out to new things, but maybe one day will.
Is that like different products or?
I think him and I, and we've had this conversation a bunch of times. Him and I are different in this. Like, I like new things. I like learning new things. I like putting myself in uncomfortable situations. He is one of those people that if you show him how to do something, he will pound it and be the most consistent human being. If I told him you have to touch this glass 1,000 times a day, he's the perfect person for it. He's going to touch that glass 1,000 times a day.
Yeah.
And you show him exactly how to do it, he'll crush it. As far as going out and being an innovator and doing something new, learning something new, he's not going to do it unless I know how to do it and I can teach him how to do it.
That makes sense because I know he was in Lemu as well.
Yeah.
And
that's why
multi-level marketing is all about just like, hey, here's what's crushing for me. You just go do it now. Yep,
exactly.
That's interesting. It's really cool to see how you've, because when I first came into your life, which was like 2018 or 19, me and you first chatted.
Yep.
And it's cool to see how like you were like balls to the wall with metal signs. And now you're going more into, hey, like, I don't want to be known for just metal signs. It's like I'm trying to be more of an innovator in the marketplace and actually becoming a full stack manufacturer where, hey, I want something done, we'll make it for you.
Yeah, and like, you have to take steps to get there. And so, obviously, print on demand, is a huge market. But I realized early on, if I'm going to compete in the apparel and clothing market, like you've got to fork out a bunch of money for clothing, work on very little margin, and be very, very competitive with your software and everything else that works. So I was like, you know what? Let's not start there. Let's start on these items that have big margins that no one else is fulfilling orders for, no one else is engraving, and so I started there first. Got really good at all that. And you're talking 500 to 1,000 different SKUs there on items that pretty much no print-on-demand company offered. So scale that up, got to a point where, hey, we're making enough money here, now let's do apparel, now let's do hats. And then now it's full, like you said, full-fledged manufacturing. So we got we've got dog kennels, jewelry. I mean, the jewelry process is one of the most complicated things you could possibly do. You're talking about taking stainless steel, cutting it, electropolishing it, electroplating it, assembling the necklace itself, and being able to do that for $6 a necklace. I mean, like, if you saw the whole process, you'd be like, how in the hell are these people doing this
For
for
$6,
$6?
and then that's a necklace you can sell $70 to $100.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's actually gold plated, and we've built really good processes to make sure these things are great.
Yeah, you've mentioned some cool stuff to me. I mean, like necklaces. So anyone watching this video right now, if you need a new manufacturer in the USA for necklaces, Josh is your guy.
Yeah.
I know we talked about acrylics because I have a student who's big into the acrylics. You're like, hey, I could probably literally do it for significantly cheaper than what he's doing it, even though he's making it himself.
It's to the point, like, we've automated things so much because that's we try. Like I said earlier, we try to be best first. And so we've automated things to a point where when we give people our prices, they're like, "Oh, your quality must be bad," or like this. There's no way you could do it for that cheap.
Yeah.
It's just because
especially in the USA.
Exactly, they're so used to everyone else having such big margins. We're like our canvas, our acrylic prints, our coffee mugs. I mean, it's like we've just absolutely destroyed everyone, and that's why our business has done so well. Is because it's easy to go pick up a client. We're like, we can do everything that you're currently doing for half the price, half the processing time, and better quality. And they're like, it's a no-brainer. It's easy to pick up clients whenever you're able to offer that kind of business. And it goes back to, like you said, the BlackBerry story. Like everyone else, I feel like in our business is the BlackBerry, and we're the iPhone coming in saying, all right, I need you, and kind of going from there.
So as you're building this business and everything, what are the types of, not necessarily like, we already kind of went over like the types of people you want to work with in that way, but what are like the main products you're right now, like let's say for example, I'm drop shipping something right now, I'm watching this video, what am I selling that you're like, hey, you should come check out some of the stuff I have because I may be able to give you a better rate?
Yeah, so doormats are probably one of our biggest products. These things absolutely crush. We do a lot of decor. We do this for Kirkland's, Hobby Lobby, with a few other drop shippers. So anything, canvas print, wood frame with the bag, and you see a bunch of like scripture and all kind of things that people are selling with those. The acrylic signs, like you mentioned, jewelry is another big one. And jewelry is one of those things where in the off seasons it's not so popular, but you like about Valentine's Day or Christmas, we're doing 15,000, 20,000 pieces a day, and that business is huge. But now it's more like we can do everything. So I want people to like say, hey, here's what we're doing. How can you make this better? That's where we perform the best. Where it's like people bring us problems and we're like, let's figure out a solution to this. Right? You're already selling it. Like, how can we make this process better? Yeah. And even if you don't work with us, like I like that's our bread and butter. Like, how can we make the process better every single day for you? Then that way that we've learned the next time this comes around, we're better. We know now.
What does one's review process look like when it comes down to how can we make this process better? Like,
and what's
the KPI on that? Is it speed, quality?
Everyone at our office hates me because we spend so much time trying to help people and don't get paid for it. But like, what they don't understand is we learn so much in that process to make not only their business better, but our business better, and also all of our other clients' businesses better. And so usually, like, let's say like the jewelry thing. So most people are drop shipping jewelry from China. And if these people are doing 10, 15,000 pieces of jewelry a day, selling them at $50, $60 a pop, whenever you're drop shipping this from China, your lead time is a couple weeks. Because it's going to, like, in China, whenever they're making this jewelry, every step of the process is a different plant. So you have a metal fab place that's cutting out the jewelry. You have an electropolishing place. You have an electroplating place. You have an assembly place, and then you have a packaging fulfillment place. They're all different locations, completely different businesses. And so we've got this all in-house. And so not only are we able to offer it a lot faster processing time to actually make and manufacture this jewelry, and I think we do that in we're on average 1 to 2 days right now, and we usually peak season, I think it's 3 days. Our shipping time. You order something from China, how long is it going to take to get there? And so whenever you're shipping things out for Christmas, 10 days at 15, 20,000 pieces a day, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's a little bit more expensive for us 10 months out of the year. But how much more money do you make getting an extra 100, 200, 300,000 pieces or orders?
Yeah.
Yeah, and whenever you need it. And so that's where we win. And so, and I think if I had to guess, I'd say that even the China costs, like we're on par with them, and they haven't kind of disclosed those numbers, but I can't see them being any better than us, especially the processes they have to go through.
That's phenomenal.
Yep.
I think that's something like anyone can do, like in their business. It's like you have a variety of systems and processes in your business to achieve certain results, and it's like just go reanalyze those over and over.
Well, our main focus is we're not we have a plan, we have an algorithm that we use to figure out what our price is. We don't negotiate on price. We give the best possible price out the gate. This is what we can do. And if that works, I can't stand the back and forth. Like, okay, we can do $100. Okay, well, we get this other guy that can do 90. Okay, we can do 89.
Yeah.
Okay, no. Here, look, we can do 50. Here you go. They're like, done deal. Let's do it. And so it takes out all of that back and forth. That's old school business. I feel like that's the way that people used to do business in the past. And so, I'm done with that. Let's just give you the best possible price right out the gate. Let's get this over with. And so that's kind of how we do business. And we make, yes, our margins are slim, but I know that because I've been in the sales game, and the cheaper I can fulfill orders for you, the more product you can sell. So that's what
I think it also goes back to what you said earlier about not being in a rush to get rich.
Yeah.
Because, if you were in a rush to get rich, you would be more hesitant of giving the lowest price in the beginning because you're like, I'm trying to make as much money as I can off this dude.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's kind of goes back to dating and stuff like that. If you really want that girl, guess what? She's probably not going to want you. Whereas the less of I need a care in this particular case about a certain number, and we can give you just hey, here you go, here's what you want, boom. The more likely they'll do business with you, the more likely they'll stay around in a way.
And if you could get in business and not pay yourself anything, or at least hold out on taking a paycheck, that company is a lot more likely to succeed later on. I can't tell you how many times we've done runs for thousands, millions of dollars and made zero profit. Maybe even lost money on the initial run just to figure it out so that we get this client, we make them happy, and then figure out the system to make, maybe it's 5%, maybe it's 10% on the remainder of those orders. But you have to make that investment first. You can't say, oh, I'm going to take on this and, it's going to cost us, $100,000 to figure this out, so I'm going to charge this to the customer.
Yeah.
No, take that hit yourself, figure it out, take that loss, and then, because then what? You're making that person happy, you're getting better as a company, and then after that, then you make your money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's. I wish people understood that. You don't have to get rich fast. It's gonna come.
I think there's levels to that in a way of when people want to get rich fast, usually a lot of them are in a position right now where they have $500 to their name.
Yeah.
They're struggling to pay bills on a monthly basis. So it's not that they want to become rich fast. They want to be able to literally just support themselves. It's in a way of just our natural survival instincts in a way.
Yeah.
But rich to me is someone with $1 million a month profit. You're doing $12 million a year, paying yourself, you're rich in a way. But 30 grand a month, I think at 30 grand a month, I think they did a study where it was that's where you peak at. Your happiness gets exponentially better the more you make until you hit 30 grand a month. Then it actually just levels off.
No, it does.
Very little.
I watched a really good. It was a really good series on this, and so at every income level, everyone said, "What would make me happier? More money." And so for someone making $30,000 a year, if you started paying them $40,000 a year, they actually were happier. For someone that was making 40, you started paying them 50, they were happier. But once you're able to do everything, then it becomes a level of convenience, not happiness. Because if you're making $150,000, $200,000 a year, you can do pretty much everything.
Yeah.
But then it becomes a level of how fast can I do these things? Do I need a private jet to take me to these places? Do I need to fly first class? Do I need an exotic car? And so those things don't bring any sort of happiness. Because now you can do those things, you're just able to do them in a little bit better way.
I think that's the one thing I've learned is like once you make more money, the only thing you get access to is cars, nice restaurants, cool destinations.
Yeah.
But then once you go experience them, it's like, okay, cool. Like this isn't actually as fun as you thought it was going to be. Like
it is amazing to me that all these things that I thought I wanted is nothing remotely close to what it actually is actually what I want. Once you get them, but that's the only time you ever realize that. The only time you ever realize that.
Yeah, like the restaurants, the cars. It's like when you make more money, that's all you get access to.
yeah, exactly. And it's really cool the first couple of times.
Absolutely.
And so now I've got to the point where like I kind of live vicariously through the people that I get to bring with me. I get to watch their excitement. I get like my parents, like I get to bring them on trips and stuff, and like watching them experience something for the first time is better than me experiencing it for the first time. And so that is really fun. I love doing that. And like today, so you didn't see this, but I did. So like obviously we've got nice cars. Like I drive a McLaren. I bought that car for me. Like I don't care what anybody sees or says or does or how cool they think that I am or how cool I think I am when I'm driving it. But today, I like pulled off on the shoulder, like whipped around a bunch of people. And like, if I'd have been in any other car, I'd have pissed everyone off. But because you were in a Lambo and I came up behind you in a Lambo, the car behind me, I saw them, they started laughing and they pulled their phones out and went to recording. And like their kids in the back were like all standing up, like all excited. And like watching people see things and like get happy and excited, like they're all filming, like that just brings...
You're putting good karma out there.
Yeah,
you're putting good energy out there.
And so like they were having fun, we were having fun, and like I enjoyed that. We weren't trying to look cool or impress anybody. It was about like they were enjoying, they were smiling. I loved seeing that. It was pretty neat.
I love that. But yeah, it's like at a certain level, you're gonna realize, okay, hey, money isn't everything. And I really do believe those are one of those things that you won't believe anyone until you experience it.
No, that's a tough one to really understand it.
And you're gonna go through phases with it too, because I know like for me, like I got depressed for a little bit of time when like I scaled my business up. I hit a level, I'm like, holy shit, I'm making a lot of money per month. I automated everything in my business where I'm literally like, all right, I can do nothing the whole day.
Yeah.
I lasted 3 days, and then I was like, I hate my life. Like I don't know what I'm doing with my life. What's going on?
Yep.
And I was like, why? Because I removed everything I love to do, which is work and build on my business.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you don't realize that like you work so hard to do less, but what you really want to do is work so hard that the things that you do are more meaningful.
Yeah. And there is people that's like watching this video right now that they may be working like I have some students who are working like 60, 70 hours a week in their business. And it's like, I hate it so much. I'm like, why? Because I work so much. And it's like, you love your business. You just hate the key actions that you have to work on in your business. So it's like, that's when you start discovering systems and hiring the right people to where you can only focus on the things you love.
Yeah.
That makes a huge difference.
And I don't know, like, I know, like for me, there have been times where like I've avoided doing some work, some part of the business that I don't really like to do. Mm-hmm. And I'll avoid it for a long time. I'll procrastinate. And sometimes procrastination is a good thing. But one thing that I've noticed is like everything that you want your life to be is usually in the small things that you aren't doing that you know that you should be doing. It's that work that you don't do that you're putting off. You're doing the fun part of it, but you're not doing the finishing touches. And so I find myself doing that a lot. We're like, I'll do the fun part. I'll do the hard part because the hard part is fun. But the boring, monotonous part that I know that only I can do, I'm like, oh, not again. And as soon as I get to the point where I've finished it and I finally push myself to get past it, I'm like, why didn't I do this sooner? I find myself doing that a lot. It's been that way for pretty much my entire life.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but as soon as you do that work and you see it and you're like, damn, I should have done that sooner. I do that all the time.
Well, dude, this is phenomenal, man. Definitely a lot more than like, I didn't really know what to expect going into this one, but dude, your story is amazing.
Appreciate it, man.
I really appreciate you sitting down, coming to California with this.
No,
this
absolutely.
beautiful
Yeah.
4 or 5 story mansion that we were able to stay
Well,
in
you
this
picked the place out. You sent me a link. You're like, we're gonna get some Lambos. We're gonna get this mansion. I'm like, I guess I'll do that. Yeah.
But yeah, really appreciate you coming. Appreciate you being on the show. And is there any links? Is there any like, hey, maybe I'm interested in, like getting my product sold by you or like getting some manufacturing done by you? Is there anything you want to share with people for them to find you?
Yeah, I got a YouTube channel. I've got Instagram, Completeful.com. We do 3PL, do drop shipping. We house and store products. So anybody that wants to get into that game, I try to answer every single question that I can for everyone that has any information on how to get started. And then I want to help them, like I said, go from 0 to something, so then I can hand them off to you, and you scale them to the next level. And that's hopefully that's what we accomplish here.
And that's Completeful.com.
Completeful.com. Complete
Awesome.
FUL.
Sweet, man. Well, Josh, it was great having you on, man. And take care.
Absolutely, man. Cheers.
Sweet.